I was in junior high school, math class, and we were going over our homework, and the principal came over the intercom. He told us that President Kennedy had been shot in Dallas. And then all I remember was the teacher continuing to teach the class. And he asked me what I got on question number 3. And I put my head down on the desk and I cried.
Well, I was going to get married to this guy that I met in college, Kendall Thompson. And he was a lawyer and he was going to take care of me. Well, on the day of our wedding, Martin Luther King was shot. So in respect, we postponed it a week. And, well, a week later, I changed my mind. I married his best friend.
I was home from college, re-exploring my sexuality with this girl I used to go out with in high school. Back then, we were into Hope and Dayglow and the greening of America. Anyway, we were in bed in my parents' house when my father walked in and told us that Bobby Kennedy was shot. Then he walked out. 5 minutes later, she walked out. And then, 4 years later, I was working for George McGovern.
Yeah. Well, I was a part-time mechanic at a garage here in Los Angeles, and we heard the news over the radio that Wallace was shot. And at first I thought it was Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes. But it wasn't him, it was George Wallace, the governor from Alabama. And so I went home, you know, I watched the whole thing on the news and, you know, all 3 channels. And I don't know, I thought that they all had the same coverage, but I think Walter Cronkite did the best job.
Well, when that squeaky girl was trying to gun down former President Jerry Ford, my husband and I were having our first long vacation in Hawaii since our lovely son Jeffrey was born. Well, they don't have a lot of television sets on Maui, and, well, we wanted it that way. Anyway, we had to read about it in the newspapers, and news sure travels slowly on Maui. Well, anyway, Jeffrey's now 5, and he can name all the presidents.
I was taking a shower in my gym in New York, and this guy runs in and says that some woman tried to cut President Ford down for a second time. I mean, I thought it was a joke, you know, so I mean, I even made a joke about it. Until I realized he was serious, and, well, I don't joke about that anymore. Wait a minute. I wasn't living in New York in '75. I was in Miami.
Oh, I was talking to Ellen on the phone. She usually calls me every night about 11:30. We talk for about an hour. It's usually about nothing at all. I think I want to marry her. Well, she doesn't want to marry me. Anyway, one night she calls, and she said that John Lennon was shot and he was killed. Oh, you just don't, you can't, you know how you just can't. Well, I hung up and I put the TV on. And they were already recounting his life. And I couldn't sleep at all. And I called this guy I know, Jim, I knew would be up that hour. And would you believe that he wasn't at all affected by the death of John Lennon? He said, he's just another rock star. I couldn't believe it.
Well, last Monday I called up to get tickets to this rock concert, you know? And the lady in the box office picks up the phone and she goes, "Oh no, President Reagan's been shot." I said, "What? Not again." So I hung up the phone, and then for the next 3 hours I just kept switching from CBS to ABC to NBC, just watching TV constantly. And President Reagan pulled through, thank God. So the next day I call up the box office, you know, to try to get tickets to the concert. And wouldn't you know it, they're all sold out. Completely.
I was bowling. I'm not the best bowler in the world, but my wife enjoys it, so I bowl. Anyway, I had made 2 strikes in a row, and I was really concentrating on getting a 3rd one, and the announcement came over the loudspeaker. I couldn't believe it at first. They shot